I think we're safe to start. Welcome to today's St. David's Day 2018 webinar being run by Local Giving as part of our Wales development program. This is going to be a half an hour long webinar. We'll probably have about 20 to 25 minutes of content followed by questions if you have any. So I'll give all the contact details, but you should know that you can leave messages in the chat on the bottom left-hand corner, and I'll do my best to get to the questions at the end. And Lauren, who's based in Cardiff, is also on the webinar, so she'll also be able to give me a hand in responding to your questions. So what we're going to go through today is our top tips for running a one-day fundraising campaign, and it's all in advance of St. David's Day 2018, which is on the 1st of March this year. And the basic idea of how we see this working is we are encouraging our groups in Wales to reach out to their supporters on St. David's Day and to run a short, snappy fundraising campaign around it. The general idea is that on days like these, communities feel inspired to support their local community through donating to local charities and community groups. So it's a really good time to sort of capture that general goodwill that people have and to ask them to support your group. It's sort of like a ready-made excuse for you to go out to your supporters and ask for support. So what we're going to do today is explain all of the resources that Local Giving have for St. David's Day and give some tips about what we recommend groups do when running short fundraising campaigns. Just so you know, some of you might be members of our Welsh development program, and some of you may still have some match funding to use. So if you are part of the program and you think you have some match funding to use, but you have a few questions about it, please feel free to give us a call after the webinar. I'll share the contact details, and either myself or Lauren will let you know what the situation is. But if you do have some match funding available, this would be a good time to use it. So what we're going to cover today is preparation before a campaign, building support for a campaign, some tips around communications during a campaign. We'll go through our St. David's Day fundraising resources you can use. We'll also explain what you should do at the end of a campaign and some tips for follow-up engagement after the campaign is done. And at the end, I'm just going to show you an example of a one-day fundraising campaign that was run on Local Giving recently, and just sort of show you as an example of what you could do. And at the end, as I said, plenty of time for questions. So, just so you know, on Local Giving, you can use any type of page for a one-day campaign. So with Local Giving, you have a main charity account, which is sort of where you highlight the key information about what your group does, and it is a general place for people to go and make donations. There are two other ways that you can ask people to donate on Local Giving, and they're more about driving people actively towards a fundraising page centered either around a particular project that you're running or an individual running a fundraising campaign for you. So there are appeal pages, which are sort of like crowdfunding pages, usually based around issues or projects that you want to fundraise for specifically, and fundraiser pages, which is used when an individual or a group of individuals decide to take on some sort of challenge, so something like a marathon, in order to raise money for you online. So just so you know, you can use any type of page on Local Giving for something like this, but we recommend using an appeal page if you're going to run a short campaign. And the reason why we do this is because appeal pages are time sensitive, so they only stay online for a certain amount of time, usually a couple of weeks or months. For something like this, it might only be online for a matter of days. They are usually issue focused, so they focus in on a particular project that you have or an urgent need for funding that you have. So it allows you to speak about something particular and to really narrow in on a particular need that you have for fundraising. So if you're thinking about doing something on St. David's Day or indeed another significant anniversary, we recommend using an appeal page because you can really hone in on that particular need that you have in order to drive donations over a short period of time. So this is an example of what your page could look like. This is a mock-up that I did on the Local Giving Foundation. You'll see it specifically talks about St. David's Day, so you could do something similar to this, set up an appeal page specifically for St. David's Day, set yourself a target, and put the page live a couple of days beforehand and wrap up the campaign a couple of days after. In terms of preparation before the campaign, a couple of things to note is that you should let everyone in your organization know what the plan is. So if you're thinking of taking part in something like this, now is the time to email everyone in your organization, email the trustees, staff members, volunteers, people who would be interested in fundraising, and let them know that you're going to do this campaign, that it launches in 2 weeks' time, and ask them for feedback or tips or advice about how they could help the campaign. But just in general, it's good to let everyone in your organization know what's going on, so that if they get asked about it, they can communicate your message to other people. I would also advise sending out an email informing supporters and friends of the organization that you're going to do it. So if you're going to run a one-day campaign, obviously you're going to try and get the donations over the course of St. David's Day itself, but it's worth letting people know in advance that you're going to do it. So now is sort of a perfect time to send an email to your supporters, through a newsletter, and say, in 2 weeks' time, we're taking part in Local Giving St. David's Day appeal. We're going to set up a local giving page. You can read about the campaign here. And then when you do actually launch the campaign, people are familiar with the concept and have thought about how much they could support you. I would also encourage you to look to our resources and templates. So Local Giving have a variety of different resources and templates, everything from help with press releases, with social media tips and guides, and templates for newsletters. We've got lots of different resources, and we've designed several specifically for St. David's Day to be used by Welsh groups, and we're going to go through them in a minute. And the last tip I would say is log into your Local Giving account, and either if you're using your main page, make sure that it's up to date with all relevant information and is looking spick and span. And if you're using an appeal page, make sure that it has accurate information, that it's set up well in advance. And if you're thinking of going to that appeal page route, I would start working on it now so that it's well ready by the time the 1st of March comes around, ready to receive donations. Some other tips and ideas for what you could do. For short, snappy campaigns, it's useful if you can reach out to local businesses or other community groups who could help promote the campaign or donate to the page. So you don't even need to specifically ask for help in terms of donations. Reach out to any contacts that you have and ask them, could they help you spread the word either through their social media channels or maybe through other networks that they have. If you're running a short campaign, it has to be social media driven, so you have to generate interest online. So just having a local business or another community group shouting about your appeal can really be beneficial in trying to generate that urgency over a short amount of time. I'd also encourage groups, and this is a simple step, but I think a really key one, to try and put together a campaign HQ for the morning of St. David's Day. So if you have a physical center that your charity is based in, invite in supporters, volunteers, the trustees, anyone you think could help, and tell them to come in that morning, get tea and coffee and biscuits and snacks ready, and get everybody to sit around the table and sort of think about ideas about how they could promote your page and donate themselves, and just try and create that sort of sense of camaraderie, try and create a team for the day so that everybody is sort of working together. And if you can create that atmosphere, it can really help short campaigns, because inevitably 1 or 2 people will come up with some really good idea about how you could reach out to the local press or how you could get something to spread widely on social media. And it's really useful if everybody's in the room together so that people can sort of piggyback off each other's ideas and start getting their sort of creative juices flowing to spread the message online. Another tip would be to have a template for thank you messages ready to go. So I always encourage groups to put time and effort into their thank you messages, but you can make that a quicker process by having a template saved. And on Local Giving's dashboard, you can save templates. And the reason why they're particularly useful in a short campaign is if you're running an appeal over the course of a month and someone donates, it's fine to send them a thank you, the next day or a couple of days later. But if you're trying to get as many people to donate on St. David's Day, as soon as someone donates, you're going to want to have a thank you message ready to go that says, thank you for your donation. Could you share the fact that you donated on your Facebook page? could you tell your friends and family to donate to, so that immediately after the person donates, you're able to say, thank you for the support. How can you help us to get more donations over the line? So it would be great to have a couple templates ready to go for your supporters. The other tip I would have is try and encourage supporters to take a selfie after they've donated. If you want something that's going to be spread on social media, I would encourage you to try and get your supporters to use something visual. So to either share like a photo of your center or indeed a selfie of them making the donation. So really just encourage people who you know are going to donate to, after the fact they've made a donation, take a selfie, give them the thumbs up to the camera, and to tell their friends and family that they can also donate on Local Giving, and get them to share your Local Giving link. What's really important with appeal pages, and particularly important with short campaigns, is to celebrate milestones as they come along. So what we mean by milestones is celebrate key events that happen during your campaign and try and bring your supporters on a journey, so that if anyone is watching on social media or reading your emails, they start to see a campaign that launches, then gets going, then starts to reach its target. So things you could do are, send out an email when you get your first donation over the line. Tweet the fact that you've reached halfway to your target. Share on Facebook when you get a significant donor or when a group of people donate together. Just try and take all your supporters on a journey and show them a campaign that's growing and starting to gain traction. And the key way to do that is to link it on social media and to try and tag as many people connected with the organization as possible. So if someone donates and they're happy for you to do it, tag them on Facebook, tag them on Twitter, try and get a bit of interest going on social media. Another tip would be to try and get people's attention through other means online. So things you could do are reach out to local bloggers, you could reach out to local newspapers, or you could use online forums. So an online forum might just be a community page that was set up on Facebook for your region in Wales, or indeed like a Wales forum about events that are happening locally. So try and think about different ways that you could reach out to other media sources to tell them about your campaign. And this would be the time to do it now over the next couple of weeks. Really important to always thank donors, as we said. You can do that through Local Giving's dashboard. You can also do it on social media by tagging them. And just so you know, if you want to add these supporters to a newsletter or to like regular correspondence in the future, all you have to do is go to My Donations on your dashboard and click on Reports, and then download the marketing report. And in that marketing report will be a list of all the email addresses of people who have opted into communications with you. And really can't be understated is that if this is a one-day appeal, if you're specifically asking people to donate on St. David's Day, you're going to want to drive urgency. So make sure you're shouting about how close you are to your target. Make sure you're stressing the fact that this is a short campaign and that it's a sort of now or never time to support your charity. As I said, you can reach out to local press, and you should know that on Local Giving we have a local press portal where you can download different guides around how to reach out to the press and write a press release. And then you can search for local newspapers in your area and quickly and easily upload the content to their news desk. So just go to our homepage, click on what we do, and then click on local press links. And you'll be able to see lots of guides around how to write a press release and then quickly and easily upload content to local Welsh newspapers. And you should know that at Local Giving, we pride ourselves on not just giving charities a place to receive donations, but actively helping them with online fundraising in terms of putting together marketing material, communication tools, and generally just helping them to sort of structure their online fundraising. So one of the things we've done for the Welsh groups around St. David's Day is design posters that you can use and sort of put together like a pre-made marketing pack that you just have to take and roll out to your charity. So over on the right is a general poster about St. David's Day you could use. On the left is an editable poster you can use. So you just download the PDF and you can write your own charity's details in there. So you can say donate to your charity. And then you can also edit the link at the bottom so that it is your charity's local giving URL. We have social media banners as well. So if you want to update your Twitter banner or your Facebook banner, specifically for St. David's Day, we have banners you can use. You can see at the top of or in the middle of the screen that you can use to sort of refresh your Facebook and Twitter page on the day of St. David's Day. And yeah, it's quickly and easily downloaded. All these materials will be in the email we sent you about this webinar. But I'm also going to send around a link with a YouTube recording of this webinar, and we'll include the links to where you can download all those resources. I'd really encourage you to link in with existing social media campaigns that will be taking place that day. So remember to use the hashtag St. David's Day. Remember to use hashtag Wales. You can also tag Local Giving or tag our Wales Development Manager, Lauren. It's at @LaurenS_Wales. If you tag us in your posts, we'll retweet them, we'll share them, and try and spread your message online as well. Just so you know, I'd love to be able to explain this in Welsh, but unfortunately I can't speak any. But we have a Welsh translator who has translated all of our resources into Welsh. So if you are a Welsh-speaking group or in a Welsh-speaking region, or if you'd just like to share both English and Welsh versions of these resources, we do have Welsh translation versions available, and they'll be included in the same email that you can download them in. And we also have that editable poster in Welsh. At the end of the campaign, so if it's a one-day campaign, you might want to wrap it up on St. David's Day. Maybe you want to wrap it up the next day or a couple of days later. But the key point is to try and drive the last few donations by creating urgency at the end of the campaign. So over on the right, I have an example of a group who are doing exactly that. At the very end of their appeal, they're shouting that, they're 76% of the way to their target. Please help us cross the finish line. So keep everybody up to date with how much you've raised, how close you are to your target, and try and generate urgency at the end of the campaign. So on the evening of St. David's Day and that night, shout about it. Try and make it seem that, if you want to support this charity, now is the day to do it, and try and create a bit of excitement and generate that sense of urgency amongst your supporters. In terms of what to do after the campaign, remember, as I've said, to thank people on social media, so just a general thank you to all your supporters, and then an email to the people who've supported you. I would follow it up a couple of days later with, the total raised of how much the campaign raised, and try and explain the impact that they're going to have. So try and show them like a photo or describe the project that the people who've donated have helped to fund. And remember that a one-day campaign or a short campaign is not just about raising money. It's also an opportunity for you to spread word of what you do as an organization. So see this as a wider opportunity to, recruit new service users, get new volunteers and supporters on board, or even to reach out to people who donate for the first time, but down the line might become a regular donor for you, or even someone who might help you out by doing a fundraising challenge. So one thing I'd really encourage you to do is reach out to the people who've donated to you on St. David's Day, add them to your newsletter, and keep them in mind for a campaign that you might be running in a couple months' time where you will need their support again. Remember to always thank your fundraisers too. So if you're going with the fundraiser page option instead of an appeal and sort of centering the campaign around one person doing a challenge, remember to thank them on behalf of the organization. And indeed, if any staff members or volunteers or trustees help you with just the general promotion of this campaign, remember to thank them on behalf of the organization, because you'll need to rely on their support down the line as well. Ideas for follow-up engagement. So as I said, add people to the newsletter. You can do that by going to My Donations, then clicking on Reports in your local giving account. And remember to include case studies, photos of the people and the projects that their donations have helped fund. And as I said, use it as an opportunity to recruit new people connected with your charity. Another tip would be to document the elements of the campaign that you think went well and what didn't go well, and then to try and learn from the experience down the line. So We'll have lots of campaigns over the course of the year. We've got a campaign coming up in April called Local Hero. We run match fund campaigns throughout the year. So it's useful if you do something like this to jot down the things that went well and what didn't go well. So, the people who were reliable and were able to help you with promotion of the campaign, the local business contact that you made that shared it for you on social media, and even just little bits of information like you think that the poster that you put up in the hallway actually got a lot of attention, or that the post that you shared on Facebook got more likes and more shares than the one that you did on Twitter. And it just allows you to start building up a knowledge base of who you can depend on, what social media platforms work for you, and what strategies you can use in future. And that's all useful information to have the next time that we run a match on campaign or you take part in another local giving campaign. So I just wanted to wrap up the webinar with a really good example of a one-day campaign. This isn't necessarily something that every group can replicate exactly, but it is a good example of a group who's thought outside the box. So this is the Heroes Project. They ran a one-day campaign, but they teamed up with a local community radio station and got the local radio DJs to shout about their appeal and talk about what was going on local giving. And over the course of the day, before they played songs or before the news bulletin, the radio DJs would shout about the appeal and talk about the work that the Heroes Project did. So it's a good example of teaming up with someone else in your local community and trying to spread the message online. And that resulted in 46 people donating to the page. And I would imagine that 46 people were a lot of new people who had never heard of the Heroes Project before, and that there were lots of people that heard about the Heroes Project for the first time because they had teamed up with that local radio station to talk about their work and to talk about their campaign. It's a good example of driving urgency over a 24-hour period. And if you're looking to do something like this, but don't have the contact at a local newspaper or a local radio station, remember that in the age of social media, you can do that yourself. Just create a short, video where you interview service users or volunteers, ask them what the charity means to them, and create a short video of testimonies of what your charity does or the specific project that you want to run, and then use that on social media to spread the word. Launch the video on the day of St. David's Day. So today we covered preparing for a campaign, building support, communications during a campaign. We went through some of our resources, and then we talked about how to wrap a campaign and then some ideas for follow-up engagement. I also went through that example of a one-day fundraising campaign. Just so you know, if you're not currently a member of Local Giving, you can join now for £96. When you are a member, you'll get access to a Local Giving page where you can get one-time and monthly donations. You'll get access to regular match fund campaigns, which we run throughout the year. And then you'll be able to run crowdfunding style appeal pages. So that's what we've been talking about a lot today. You'll also be able to have an unlimited amount of people sign up to be fundraisers for your charity. So create their own page that links into yours. You'll get one-to-one support through our help desk and through people that we have working on the ground like Lauren in Cardiff. And you'll also get in-depth reporting around finance and marketing that you can use internally for your charity. So that's it for me. I have 24 minutes past 1 on my clock, so I'm happy to hang around for the next 5 or 10 minutes and answer questions. I know Lauren is also on the chat. And just so you know, if you don't want to ask questions online, you're free to call us on 0300 111 2340, or you can call Lauren in Cardiff on 078 08 889672. I also have left our email addresses and our Twitter handles there. So while we're here, does anyone have any questions for me or Lauren? See, Diane is typing.